All right, so because I'm kind of bored, I figured let's take a political compass test on in VR. Dude, this is so stupid, but I'm gonna do it anyways. So, I take this test probably at random every couple of, I want to say, mm, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe once or twice a year. This is probably gonna be the second time, and honestly, this is gonna be my last video of this year. So let's just see where I stand politically. Just as a preface, I consider myself a uh, diehard Christian conservative. So if anybody has a problem with that, feel free to dislike the video, report it for hate speech or anything else like that. I don't care because I don't make money off of YouTube, and I actually think I just got fired from my job because I didn't want to work over Christmas. But that's a discussion for a whole nother video. I've been taking long enough, so let's see where I stand according to this. Page 1 of six. Oh my goodness. Just a few propositions to start with concerning no less how you see the country and the world. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I believe that's basically saying that it should serve the people rather than the companies themselves, in which case I would agree with that. But it's also like the companies are people also. But I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I definitely agree with that. The whole reason why is because I support my country, not necessarily the government. Good lord, I feel like I'm just parroting John Doyle here. Point is, just because I support my country does not mean that I think that it can't do things that are wrong, or that I think that the government uh can't either. Whatever. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Uh, no, I don't. I disagree with that. Mainly on account of that's sort of like saying, oh, you didn't choose this certain thing. So, oh, I can move this around. You didn't choose, let's say, your feet. You didn't choose your feet size, so it's dumb to be proud of that. That's a stupid thing. Oh man, I'm really gonna be parroting John Doyle here. It's sort of like what he said in the sense that you didn't choose your parents, so it's pointless to be proud of them. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I'm fairly certain that this is talking about uh, race as in white, black, Asian, Latino, etc. Uh, I would I don't know. I honestly don't know because I don't really care that much. Disagree? I don't know. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's wrong. If they were your friend, they would just be your friend, not the enemy of your enemy. But military crap. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I would definitely agree with that. In this case, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I would say that that was justified, though a horrible act regardless, or a horrible thing that we had to do because the man, what was it, like tens of thousands of people were just instantly vaporized, and it's not their fault. They didn't do it. It was that Japan refused to surrender because they were too proud of whatever. Last one. There's now a worrying information of fusion and entertainment. I'm sorry, what did I just read? There's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. That's kind of always been with humans, so I'm gonna have to disagree. Now the economy. We're talking attitudes here, not the FTSE index. I don't even know what that means. People are all forget it. I disagree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Yeah, very agree. Because if you have a horrible monetary value, it doesn't matter how many jobs you have because people are still going to be poor and you're going to have less jobs as a result of the inflation. So we take care of inflation and then we can take care of unemployment. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect their environment, they require regulation. I would agree with that. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. It's a good idea, but problem is that when you put that into when you actually try to do that, it falls apart almost all the time, or actually all the time, because that is communism, and communism has always failed. They are the true enemies of America right now, not the fascists, not the Nazis. It is the communists. So I'm going to disagree on that. The freer the market, the freer the people. I would agree, honestly, but there is a certain point where it's like you're so free that you can do stuff like sell a harmful product to people or sell an addictive product to people, and that's a free people. I think I'm losing it. I don't know, man. It is a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. I'm gonna disagree with that. Pretty much just because, like, what do you expect people to do? It's a commodity. Like, you have to pay for the water that you have to pay for electricity, and you could just get electricity out of the sky here. You could just set up a pole in your front yard and have electricity come down and strike that and power your entire house. Or you could use an electric bike for your entire life. It's something that people are capitalizing off of because they know that people need it, and it makes it more convenient for people. Like, would you rather just have to run out to the stream every single day? Would you rather me just come here, collect the snow off of my porch, and then melt it down, purify it, and then filter it and all that jazz? Or would it be better if I simply just went inside and, I don't know where my kitchen's at, actually. Would it be better if I just went inside, turned on the faucet, and had to pay like 4 cents a gallon for that? Like, come on, bro. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I disagree, simply because why do you ask this? It's like, this is how it has always been, and besides, God said to, he told us, oh my gosh, dude, I'm losing it right now. God told us to take over the earth, to make it ours. Oh my gosh, I know what I'm trying to say. Conquer the earth, and this is simply a way in which we are conquering the earth. We are selling it to people, so whatever. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Probably disagree, simply because what about what about stock? Like, there's more to it than just pushing a button and being like, aha, yay, money, or something like that. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Definitely agree, because actually, I forget what protectionism is. Give me a sec. Protectionism. What is protectionism? Protectionism the theory or practice of shielding countries' domestic industries from foreign competition by taxing imports. Yeah, strongly agree on that, because currently, even now, we need to have tariffs and stuff because our society is going into the gutter, our economy and all that jazz, because we don't protect our economy. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. I wish there were a neutral one, because I just don't know. I guess agree, because it says social responsibility, not necessarily moral responsibility. The rich are too highly taxed. I very strongly agree on that. Everybody is honestly too highly taxed at this point, including myself. I made like $200 a paycheck, and I'm getting $35 taken out of that. Like, are you joking me? Like, come on, government. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. simply because they should have access to it because they have the money to pay for those things, not that the medical care does not exist. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I would agree with that because I believe that lying is wrong, and you could definitely make a serious profit off of lying to people, and a lot of people have, and still do. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I would disagree with that because by definition, a free market with restrictions is not a free market. Okay, test 3 out of 6. Now let's look at some of your personal values. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Strongly agree with that. I think it is absolutely repugnant and abhorrent that we support abortion in any facet. And even in the cases of rape and incest, they make up somewhere like less than 2% at the most to less than 1% at roughly the least of total abortions. Something around like over 80% of abortions are performed because of lifestyle inconvenience. So, yes, to this, strongly agree. I wish there was a strongestly agree because I absolutely agree that abortion is illegal. All authorities should be questioned. I mean, I technically agree with that, but it's like the way that it's worded would make me disagree. Well, I mean, I do technically agree that authority should be questioned. I slightly agree on this. Like, you have to have some sort of trust in the authority, but it's also good to be skeptical of authority so that way, like, you're not just blindly following it. Like, you gotta understand why you do stuff. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. If that means that the punishment is befitting of the crime, then I strongly agree with that. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I honestly don't know what this means. I would say disagree, though. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Schools should make classroom attendance compulsory. I don't believe the government should, however. All people have the rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep their own kind. I disagree with that because that would essentially, everybody is so widely different in the world that would essentially just have people in their own little boxes. Like, here's James, here's Charles, and they keep to themselves and don't talk to each other because that would be wrong. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I would honestly have to disagree with that because it's sort of like the case of you wouldn't have to spank your child if you were a good parent. Now, are there situations in which your child should be spanked? I would have to say yes, but I would honestly disagree overall with this. I mean, I was spanked, and if my dad tried it now, I would probably just run away for like 5 minutes and then come back when he calms down. It's natural for children to keep secrets from their parents. Yes, I would agree with that. But they shouldn't have to. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. I mean, I agree with that in that possessing it shouldn't be a crime, but not. But this is not me being like a libertarian or a leftist because like you shouldn't jail people because they have a certain drug that they want to use. It's like I would honestly probably say this with like pretty much any drug is that you having it is not necessarily the bad thing, but the person who is selling it to you or the dealer you're getting it from should be penalized and should be charged with a criminal offense. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Excuse me. I would honestly somewhat disagree with that. It's not just that we have to find jobs, it's that I mean, I would also agree, honestly. Like, I'm sort of hovering on the middle here of like I agree and disagree, but probably more so on disagree. Because I believe that schooling should teach kids how to survive in the real world, and also, and with that knowledge, they should be able to get jobs. People with a serious in it, nope, already strongly disagree. This is eugenics, and I will always strongly disagree on this unless I become an atheist or a nihilist, which will honestly never happen. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Uh, not accept discipline, but they should learn discipline, not to accept it. There are no civilized and what did I just say? There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. I strongly disagree with that. Are you seriously going to try and suggest that the United States, in which, let's take women's rights for example, a woman can walk along the street literally topless in, I think, California? She can do that with zero societal repercussions, zero legal repercussion, anything. But a woman in Saudi Arabia dares so much as show her nose out in public, she will have that nose chopped off and tossed to the grinder and she'll be force fed it. Are you seriously trying to tell me that we do not have a more civilized society than them? Or how about just the fact that we have the right to speak our minds here in America, whereas over in, uh, let's say, Zimbabwe, if you speak out against the government, you will probably be executed for that. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I absolutely agree that. It is not my responsibility to help you because you refuse to work. When you are troubled, it is better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I would somewhat disagree with that. I would say that you have to figure out the problem, fix it, and then keep busy with more cheerful things. Like currently, I think I just got fired today, like I said, because I didn't want to work on Christmas. I'm going to keep my currently I'm keeping myself busy because I don't have anything better to do right now. But shortly I'm going to go to work at Wawa, or what was my work, I guess, and be like, "Yo, what's up? Did I get fired?" And I'm just gonna bring my uniform along with me, just because, like, yes, you have been fired. Oh well, here's my uniform. Have a nice day. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I mean, really depends on like how old they are, but it's actually no, I disagree. I strongly disagree with that because we it's not just the immigrants' fault that they wouldn't be able to integrate into the new country. What we should have is some sort of assimilation requirement in which you have to assimilate to the American culture, or in this case, American culture, an assimilation potential or whatever. I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't. What's good for most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Disagree, because especially nowadays, uh, the way it usually is working is that really successful companies don't always have the American people's interest in mind. No broadcasting institution, however independent its conduct, should receive public funding. I would disagree with that. I mean, why shouldn't it receive public funding? It's not receiving private funding. It's people who want to give money to it are giving money to it. So who cares? Page 4 of 6, and how you see the wider society. Oh, I didn't remember the last. I don't remember what it said before. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I believe I agree with that. Because whole thing of like our guns are trying to be taken away, our speech is trying to be censored. It's like we gotta stop the terrorists. And it's like, yeah, at what point are you going to stop? So I would agree with that. A significant advantage of a one party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Technically, I agree with this. But in practicality, what you're going to have is that in a multi party system, it's going to be harder for corruption to seep its way in, and you're going to have more input through the multi party system rather than you in a one party system. Yes, in a monarchy, you are going to be able to do things way faster because you only got one person working on it. But in a but it's all if that monarch turns corrupt, you now have a I forget what it's called. I don't believe it's a dictatorship. You have a tyrant. And with a multi-party system, you go from having a if a couple people turn corrupt, you still have like another 7 people out of the 10 who are still just and are slowing down that wrongdoers. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. I strongly disagree. Whether or not you are doing wrong does not matter because we all have the right to privacy. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I strongly agree with that because if you are seriously telling me that somebody who goes out and would murder my child, somebody who would come to my house and murder my child, they don't deserve death as a result of that, you're absolutely insane. I mean, the Bible even says, and here I am shoving my religion onto people, but shut up, I don't care at this point. The Bible says that someone who takes an innocent life should have their life taken. That is why I strongly agree with that. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Yes, that is honestly how conservatism works. That is how hierarchy works, and that is a core staple of conservatism. Abstract art doesn't represent anything at all. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything at all shouldn't be considered art at all. I strongly agree. It looks like you threw up onto a painting and you're going to try and tell me that is art? No, frick you. You just suck at painting. Like, I can literally. You want to know how stupid it is? Let me give you an example. Abstract art. Like, I would consider this art. I wouldn't necessarily consider this art. This I would consider art. You're trying to tell me that this is art? Or like, where's I saw something like, holy crap, is this 3D? Like, this. Really? Or this. It looks like you threw up gay pride all over this, and you're trying to tell me that this is art? Are you stupid? Look at this. Look at these. It looks like a 5-year-old did these. This is art. Are you stupid? You have to be joking me right now. So yeah, I strongly agree. I wish I could stronger agree that abstract art looks like ass. In criminal in criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I actually strongly agree with that. Because you get justice for the wrongdoer, you get consolidation for the victim's family. What in the world? And from what I hear, the criminals get rehabilitation for their soul in the final moments. Which, I mean, in a lot of the stuff I've seen with like public executions and stuff, people who in their final moments they always say some sort of apology, like I wish I could take it back and I'm sorry for doing this, and they do that knowing that there is zero chance that that's going to save them. It is a waste of time to try and rehabilitate some criminals. I would honestly strongly agree with that. Simply because you at some point you gotta realize that there are people out there who simply cannot be reasoned with, like a mass rapist or mass serial killer. They've been in prison like 4 times. They're now 73. Like it's as if Bill Cosby right now, if you were to go out and get another, do more, slip some more Mickeys into people's drinks and rape some more people. At this point, it's an absolute waste of time to try and rehabilitate him. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I strongly disagree with that. I personally don't care who is selling it. I care more about who wrote it or who drew it. And sometimes they can be the same person, so your argument falls apart or the question falls apart. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. I strongly, strongly agree with that. This is one of the things that I will super strongly agree with, and I will die on a hill for this. If you as a woman want to go and have a career outside of childcare, go right ahead. I'm not going to say that you can't. But when you are a mother, your first duty is to be a mother and to take care of your child and to take care of the home. That is what women have always done since God first created us all those however many thousand years ago. I think, yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, I agree with this. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. I don't even know what this means, honestly. I'm going to just disagree. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Which establishment? I mean, I technically agree. Because making peace is definitely a aspect of maturity, but which establishment? Just the establishment? It's a very vague question. If you got through that okay, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Yes! Astrology accurately explains many things. No, I think it's absolutely stupid. You cannot be moral without being religious. I strongly agree with that. A secularist is not moral because of what they believe. They are only moral by happenstance, as it's called. Or by, they just happen to be moral. But they don't really believe why the morality. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. At this point, I strongly agree. Social Security is just AIDS, and I think it's stupid. Some people are naturally unlucky. I mean, technically, I agree. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Absolutely. This is a reason why I believe that religion, regardless of what your religion is, you have to believe in a religion. You have to believe in a God, because otherwise stuff like Afghanistan happens. We, the most powerful military in the world, the most technologically advanced, largest, strongest military in the world, got pushed out of Afghanistan by a bunch of dumbasses who have sex with goats for a living and can barely hold an AK straight for 2 seconds. Why? Because our government did not believe in a God, and they did. They went up into these mountains here, well, not these mountains, but they went up into the mountains, and they hid up there for 20 years until we decided that we had to just get out of there. And then they came down and they reclaimed their country. That is why we lost, because they believed in a God, a false God, but a God nonetheless. Last one. Finally, a look at sex. Oh boy, I sure do love this subject. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. I strongly agree with that. Same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I strongly disagree with that because I believe that you need a mother and a father, and having 2 mothers or 2 fathers will not be good for the child. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. I strongly disagree because I believe that pornography is destroying our society. Now, all you guys watching this, or potentially girls who like to watch porn, explain to me, why do you like to watch it? And what would be so bad about quitting it? You are addicted to watching porn. That is your problem. And it is destroying our society because it is making our men weak, porn addicted soy boys. That is, it destroys the importance of sex and how and why sex is so it is such a staple to our society. It's because God created it. He created it for husband and wife, not boyfriend and girlfriend. It is supposed to be something that brings husband and wife together as part of their relationship and create children. It is not supposed to be a gift for a boyfriend and girlfriend. It is absolutely disgusting, in my opinion. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. I would technically agree with that. But it's also like, what exactly is going on in the bedroom? Like, is it abuse? Is it murder? Stuff like that. I mean, if it's just two adults going at it, I don't care. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I would I mean, I would technically disagree with that. I would say that you can naturally, that the hormones which make you feel homosexual would make it feel natural, but that does not mean that that the scenario in which you feel that you feel gay is natural, if that makes sense. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. I would honestly strongly agree. I feel like just going out into society and looking at the average man or average woman walking around, they are exposing way too much of their body, especially women. Like, let me just average woman 2021. Look at this. Like, I feel like this sort of stuff. Wait, what does this actually say? Style has no size. Yeah, it does. I'm not gonna celebrate you because you're fat. Now let's see where you stand. Let's find out, boys. Blah 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 blah. I don't care. Just tell me where I am. I mean, yeah, that's about where I imagined I would be. I am definitely a conservative. One of these tests put me in authoritarian left, and I'm like, how? I'm not a communist. So yeah, I am definitely a conservative. That's exactly what I anticipated, and whoop-de-doo. So thank you guys for watching, and I honestly hope everybody has a nice day. Also, Merry belated Christmas. How do I... There we go. And have a nice